share this platform here with two beautiful women who have lived experience and professional experiences working with children and families on the autism spectrum. This month is actually Autism Awareness Month, and we are here to recognize the great work parents are doing as they include children who are on the spectrum in daily activities, parent them, and integrate them into society. With me today on the platform, I have our beautiful...
My name is Dudu Angeline, and I am a mother of three. I have two older sons and a 10-year-old daughter. My older son, the oldest, is autistic, and I've had the privilege and the honor to raise him up. Also a registered nurse. I have been nursing for the past 20 years. I am a gospel music minister as well, and I'm happy to be here tonight.
Welcome.
Thank you.
In addition, I have...
Hi, my name is Terry Antefil. I am an ECE educator. I have been in this field for over 20 years. I bring to this platform my ECE training, along with my Strengthening Families as a trainer in that program. I've worked with families in this field for over 10 years, and I bring this wonderful professional experience in this field.
Thank you, ladies. I'm excited to hear about your pathways and your journey in, working with families and working within the education field and as a parent. So, with your parenting skills and all that you've done, as you mentioned, your young adult son, who is autistic, can you shed light on some of the strategies and approaches that you have used, in parenting him?
Okay, strategies, approaches used in parenting. So this is a very broad topic. Raising an autistic individual it can be very challenging, taxing. You need a lot of strategies, you need a lot of structure and organizational skills. Mm-hmm. That being said, one of the things that stood out that I think about when you mention that is being organized. So with my son, I would make sure that I plan ahead. If it's tomorrow, him getting up all the way up to when he lays down to bed, the whole day I make sure that it is structured, because he would actually do very well with structure, and every time we introduce something new, the transition from one thing to the other would be challenging. And in reality, it's sometimes not possible, but we would try by all means to make sure that from the time he wakes up, he has a clock, a timer to time him. You're going to be doing this from this time to that time, from this time to that time. So he would know this is coming up next, and any disruption would really disrupt his day. So that's one of the things that we would do, and we would try to make sure that we are consistent with what we do. Consistency for autistic kids is very important. I realize that consistency is one of the important things that we need to have raising autistic individuals. And so we would thrive at all times to try and keep up at it, even though it wasn't the most possible in some situations.
So if you're listening to us today, recognize small, consistent action, and that consistency is what's important. In Canada, according to Canadian Health Survey 2019, one in every 50th child, or 1 out of 50 children, are on the spectrum, and that's between the ages of 1 to 19. And the surveys also indicated that a male child is higher likely to be an autistic child than a female child. Interesting statistics. Mm-hmm. So, we appreciate you sharing a little bit about what strategies work. Terry, working in the professional setting, and she talked about those consistency. Can you elaborate a little bit more for parents who are listening and need to hear how they can change some of their parenting skills to really have those successful children who are on the spectrum?
Well, I think parents should understand that giving children that opportunity to increase those pro-social skills is very important for them to have. I think three things I would like to highlight. You talked about structure and having those consistent actions, which is important because every child, no matter what, whether they're on the spectrum or not, needs to have those consistent actions and those structure happening. Children live off routines and structure, and it's important for them as they grow up into adulthood to have this sense of structure and routines as they grow in. Another thing I would like to talk about in helping children gain these social skills and learning how to work within society that they are in is, as a parent, we must know to love our children. Not L-O-V-E, love,
okay,
but love in terms of L-U-V.
Right.
Listen, understand, and validate them. To listen is to carefully and genuinely listen to their needs, listen to what they're communicating with their bodies. Sometimes people on the spectrum do not necessarily have those verbal communication. They can be nonverbal, but their bodies are still communicating somehow to us. So as a parent, we need to observe our children. That is one of the main things. Know what their interests are, know what they're communicating, and listen carefully for that. And once we start doing that, we need to understand them. That is repeating back and engaging in that reflective practices so that we understand what they need and how we can support their needs, right? And once we do that, we validate that. We say, yes, I know what you need, and as a parent, now I can provide that for you, right? So that's one strategy that we can use when working with children on that spectrum, is that love strategy. According to Dr. Comfort on that, is listening, understanding, and validating them. Another strategy I always say is music. The use of music for children in autism is a very calming technique that can help children calm their bodies, as we say in that field. We help them regulate themselves, and so that they can get rid of this dysregulation that can happen to them. So we know what triggers them, and music is another way to help calm them, right? And it can be any kind of music. It can be music that can be fast going, like rock and roll. It can be music that can be soft, such as jazz, right? Finding what genre of music can be used as a calming technique for children on the autistic spectrum can be very helpful for them. Yeah. Last but not least, I would like to say that we should look at our environment. We should be responsive in that, looking and seeing what in our environment triggers our children challenging behavior, whether it be the colors on the wall, whether it be clutter that when you think of toys on the floor, what clutter, what is in this space that is triggering this child's emotions and triggering this child's behavior, and what can we do as parents or as families to help them and be responsive to their needs, right? And that can also include the relationships of the people that is around them, right? And that's very important. We need to look at all these factors to help children and use this as strategies to help them further, right? Loving them, L-U-V, giving them, as you said, structure and consistent actions, providing a safe, responsive environment for them, knowing what in that environment triggers their needs, and last but not least, music. Introducing music, some form of music to help calm them.
Wow.
Wow.
And you know, and those techniques, I think, and approaches, if you try any of them, I can assure you, you can have changes with your children and the behaviors. And you mentioned, Terry, a little bit about, you know, community and family and relationship. And Angeline, with relationships, we are looking at, you know, those relationships with loved ones or individuals who supported you in the caregiving role, relationship with the school community, relationship with the church community. Can you share a little bit of your experiences of how you supported your child and became that advocate so that they could be included in this space?
That for me, I remember it would take a lot of reminding the people around us to be aware that my son is autistic, and that being said, he also would like to be included in whatever is happening. Sometimes it would take me staying in that place just to make sure that he's included before I leave him. It would take a lot of back and forth with the school, with the principal, with the teachers, to basically advocate for some of the things that I felt like he should have. And at church, it would have to take me sometimes to stay around and educate the children around him that he also wants to play, he also wants to be part of what is happening. So I believe advocacy is a really big thing when it comes to getting our kids included, just to promote that inclusivity.
And that's important because even though every child is different, every child should be included.
That's
so,
right.
You know, that inclusion is really necessary within our community, really necessary within relationships, and you know, and supporting our kids to strive as any other child.
Yeah.
Terry, based on your experience, you know, she talked about, you know, encouraging relationships with the school and also educating people so that they can not just see the child as a child who's not, you know, as per they say, the atypical child, but, you know, people look at the differences. But every child who are different also bring their uniqueness and bring their strengths to our world. Give us some highlights in terms of your experiences working in this, you know, in the school setting or the education setting, and how parents now should see that their voices should be valued in these settings for their autistic children.
Oh, very much so. Their voices are important because sometimes the child themselves don't have that voice to stand up and advocate for themselves. So it's so important, like she said, that they're included in it. And as I was just piggybacking on what you said about educating the people around that child in regards to his differences and his uniqueness so that they are aware of it and they know how to address it. Not just saying my kid is autistic, but this is what to expect. This is how I respond to that child. This is what I can do to help that child when that child gets dysregulated. This is a strategy that you can do, right? And you can share and they can try to work with it together. It's so important that we speak to start from young. Even as an ECE educator, you work with the ECE in your daycare for your child. You work with as they go into grade school, elementary school, you work with the teachers there because it's so important for that child to have a sense of belonging, because without that sense of belonging, they don't feel that they're part of it, right? So having that greater sense of belonging helps them become like a mighty learner and a mighty child as they go into life, right? So advocating for them, being part of the Parent-Teacher Association is one of the great ways that you can be in the school but still advocating for your children in there. Actually attending the parent-teacher interviews that is scheduled usually twice a year is one of the things that you can do so that you can see not just their academic achievements, but their behavioral and personal achievements, right? Because one of the things you want to work on is being there for their child and attending these school functions, school social functions, educating the staff, the teachers, the principals, even the students around them, right? All being part of their microsystem or part of their mesosystem is one of the ways that you can be part of that, advocate for them, help them be included into the school, whether it be in church, in school, community, where they are, right? And don't take it as a stigma. Autism is not a stigma. So our attitudes towards the people when we're educating them, you should be positive too. Because when you're positive, they feed off of that, right? So you want that positive attitude when talking about it. It's not a disability. It's not something different. It's just unique, and this is how we deal with it. And showing that child can still function right? It's so important, right? Because you want to be there. You want to show them that they're included and they're part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And if you're concerned about the school, being part of that community and the church community and other communities and educating, these are all resources that can come forward. And within our world, there are a lot of resources. You talked about your child being a young adult now.
Yeah.
Share a little bit about your experience with resources 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago in comparison to now.
Yeah. Well, working with the school, just the school, the teachers, the multidisciplinary team for the school, the speech therapy, the occupational therapists from the school, as well as from Alberta Health Services. We took advantage of all that. Also, FSCD, before he turned 18, was a great resource because FSCD, they actually give you a contract funding where you get a contract where you get all these resources. You get respite services, you can get speech therapy, behavioral therapy, all that covered for financially by them. So it really made life much more bearable, easier, having and tapping into all those supports. When he now transitioned into adulthood, he also moved from FSCD, now he is with PDD, and they basically took over, so you also get funding to get respite. For me, I believe respite is one of the biggest things that ever happened to me because it would give me a much more a sense of normality in that I would keep on doing what I have to do while my son is being looked after by other people, just to give me that rest and so that I rejuvenate. So yeah, all those supports are out there. The sad thing though is that most parents, mostly the new immigrant families, they don't know anything about all those supports that are out there, but they are there. And we are here to let them know that those supports are available.
And I just want to share that it's so important that you know that these supports are available within the school. And as an educator, as a parent, you should advocate for that within the school. Once your child has a diagnosis, the school has a responsibility to provide services to support that child, whether it be an EA, which is an educational assistant, to support that child within the classroom. And you should be aware of that and advocate for that.
So you talked about those resources. If you're here on the platform, you mentioned PDD, you mentioned FSCD, different terminologies that you might be aware of. But knowing that from those parents' experiences, resources help play a key role in her parenting and in empowering her to really advocate and represent her child. So no matter where you are, resources are available. If you want to hear more about those resources and how these resources can be a game changer in your parenting as an autistic, within autism families, look out for our next episode, which is going to happen in the month of May. We are here today and we are glad to celebrate Autism Awareness Month. And as we leave today on behalf of Emergency's Autism International Family Support, remember, every child counts. Your child counts. Your child is special. Your children are special. They are unique. And you as a parent are the one that's here to empower them and allow the world to know you have a gift. Thank you very much.